report where that 50% appears. That's
Okay, the 50%, if you look at from page 175, sorry. It gets to 50% when you add them. You must do the addition. There are 27 polling stations.
In the report?
The word 50%?
Yes.
I can mention the polling stations.
But it's not in the report, it's your calculation.
My calculation, yes, it's my calculation. It's my calculation based on what the registrars found. Like if you find, for example, Kakamega High School, there was no form provided. For Book 2 was never provided. Bomet County, Gorgor School, polling station 2, not provided. Kasagik Primary School, polling station 1 of 1, forms not provided. St. Joseph Kapkerich Primary School, the form was used. Chesentum Primary School, form was used. Kamwai Primary School, form was used. So if you add up from the registrar's report, they come to 50% of those forms that went out. Now, to explain it in a layman's language, because this is very important that we understand, it's like saying, I have printed for every polling station 700 ballot papers. But let me print an additional 700. Then you send all of them to the polling stations. And you issue a gazette notice telling polling stations, when you receive the ballot papers, please return to me 700 untouched. Only use 700. What do the polling presiding officers do when they receive these ballot papers? They decide to liberally use them. So that when you go out to find out where the mischief is, the system is muddled. He has thrown at you so many ballot papers, you cannot know the genuine and the fake. Mr. Chebukati single-handedly directed for book 34(2) of 2 to be printed. And book 2 of 2 having been printed, it went out to the stations. The gazette notice required it not to be used. It was used, and the registrar's reform has confirmed. How does it work? Let me use a real-life experience of a movie that I watched, because I have time. It's called The Italian Job. Once they conclude, when this gentleman steals and he comes with many lorries, and you can't tell which lorry has the actual cash, similar number plates, similar design, similar make. So it's meant to confuse you, don't know which is the actual truck that has the money. In simple terms, if I steal money on this table, I steal 1 million, I throw 200,000, all of you scramble for it, and I walk out with 800,000, leaving all of you scrambling for the 200,000. You'll never know the magnitude of what I have done. That is the magnitude of book 2 of 2 in our elections. The best example before I cede my time to the court, if you've watched The Wolf, it's called The Wolf of Wall Street. When the star player, at the point of blowing it all up, throws money at everybody because he has now made his ultimate loot. He throws money at everybody, and no one can tell what actually transpired. That is what happened with book 2 of 2 in our elections. That when you start questioning, when you start tracing, you will only be meeting genuine forms. In 2017, when we were questioning, we were meeting fake forms. He threw an extra 46,000 genuine forms into our elections in the hands of people who could not account for them. When we went to look, we were able to demonstrate that 50% of those forms have been used from a sample. From a sample, not denied, either not used or not accounted for, not returned. Are we going to give regime legitimacy after this indicting audit report? I asked this question in the morning. Part of the Supreme Court's function, you give what we call regime legitimacy. The Kenyan people moving in one accord. And nobody has spoke in this court about the margin of victory that is declared. Less than 200,000. After all these muddled figures, after all these illegalities,